So everybody, the Glowtime event has come and gone, and I'm extremely excited to talk about all things iPhone, iOS, and everything in between. But before we get started and go through the entire event, a quick word from our sponsor, iMazing. This video is sponsored by iMazing 3, the ultimate tool for managing your Apple devices. Now featuring a more refined interface that's more powerful and more user-friendly, iMazing 3 makes managing your iPhones, iPads, and even your iPods easier than ever. Explore everything iMazing can do, starting with the device view, where you can manage all of your Apple devices from one place. You can switch between multiple views and take advantage of bulk controls to streamline your workflow, which has been instrumental for me. With backups, you can archive, edit, export, and manage snapshots of your devices. Plus, the data section lets you browse and transfer important information like messages, music, call history, contacts, and much more. iMazing also offers a variety of tools such as one-click file transfers, local backups, spyware detection, device-to-device transfers, OS reinstallations, log exports, device supervision, and much more. In the device settings, you can manage all of your backup preferences, while Configurator for Business allows you to provision, configure, supervise, and simplify device enrollment for organizations. iMazing is a modular platform with more features to come. Download iMazing today using the link in the description and take control of your Apple devices like never before. Big shout out to iMazing for partnering up with 9to5Mac. Now, let's talk about these new iPhones. I do want to say that I'm going to focus on the things that were announced that will be readily available come probably by September 20th from both a hardware and a software feature. There's a lot of Apple Intelligence stuff that is related to the features that are coming out, which will not be available on day one and will not be available until later, and I will be making a video covering what Apple's still missing out on or what people are going to be missing out on with Apple Intelligence. Okay, so let's start off with the Apple Watch Series 10 and talk about all the new updates that are coming to it, because it got some interesting updates, especially when you compare it to its more expensive bigger brother, the Apple Watch Ultra 2. So first and foremost, this is going to be the thinnest Apple Watch that we're going to have, and also going to have the biggest screen we've ever had on any Apple Watch, including the Ultra. They had this side-by-side view that shows it's a tiny bit bigger than the Apple Watch Ultra screen, especially when you consider that it does go off on an angle towards the edges of the screen. It's going to be a much brighter display, maxing out at 40% brighter than the previous display, especially when you're talking about the angles that it's coming in. And as I said, it's going to be the thinnest Apple Watch ever at just 9.7 millimeters in thickness. This will be equipped with the brand new S10 chip, which will help from an efficiency standpoint, as well as help with a lot of Apple Intelligence things in the future, with Siri and things of that nature. And now we are getting a bunch of new colorways, as well as a bunch of new build material. So the first ones will be the traditional aluminum casing, which would come in 3 different colors, which is going to be the shiny kind of piano jet black color that's coming in, a new rose gold, and then the classic silver version. And then we're also going to get a polished titanium version, which replaces the stainless steel version, which I think is going to be amazing because it's going to reduce weight by about 20% compared to the stainless steel version. And these Apple Watches will charge even faster than before, giving you about 80% battery in a 30-minute charge. Then Apple did introduce some new fitness features or some new health features for watchOS 11 alongside the new Series 10, which is going to have to do with sleep apnea and sleep apnea detection and being able to find out if you have that or not, which I think is going to help a lot of people. And it looks like these Apple Watches are getting more and more health focused and fitness focused than anything else, which I'm all for. Now these Apple Watches are going to start at $399 for the aluminum version at 42 millimeters, and then $699 for the titanium ones, and you can pre-order them today with the new size being 46 millimeters on the higher end. So Apple Watch Series 10 I think is a nice little upgrade. And then to quickly mention the Apple Watch Ultra 2, nothing has changed. It's still the same Ultra 2, but it does come in a new black colorway, which I think I'm actually going to pick up right after this video. So then Apple moved on to the AirPods and that whole entire lineup, and it was a little interesting what Apple's doing here with this situation. So first off, they released the new AirPods 4, which is their 4th iteration or generation of their original AirPods from 2015, and it does have a new form factor. The actual design changes a little bit more to be able to fit even more people's ears, and some of the things that they added into here was the new H2 chip, new acoustic architectures, personalized spatial audio, which is in there. It even has a gyroscope in there to then be able to interact with Siri based on head nods, which I thought was really cool. It's also giving us some voice isolation features. It's bringing the smallest AirPods case that we've ever seen and giving you 30 hours of battery life with a USB-C charging port. And then weirdly, they introduced the new AirPods 4 with ANC, which is the same exact form factor, but they're kind of upgrading all the feature sets and some additional physical hardware pieces to the case itself. So of course you get active noise cancellation, you get the world-class transparency mode, you get conversation awareness, adaptive audio, and then also in the case itself, it does include wireless charging that you can charge with a MagSafe charger as well as an Apple Watch charger or any Qi 2 enabled charger. And it also brings a speaker in the case for Find My support. So it looks like the differences are based on the feature sets, like I said, with ANC, but then also the case itself has some additional functionality. And from what I'm understanding, the AirPods 4 does not have wireless charging, and the AirPods 4 with ANC does. Then they introduced new AirPods Max in a bunch of new colorways and with USB-C, and I don't think anything else changed with those, and they're $549, which I think is interesting. I've never purchased them, and I don't plan to purchase them. And then lastly, they didn't introduce any new AirPods Pro, but they did introduce a new AirPods Pro feature for the ability for it to be a hearing aid for some people with some mild hearing problems, which I think is going to be great. And it also has a 5-minute hearing aid test in there that's built into it, which is clinically approved. So I'm definitely going to be taking that to see how my hearing is, but I think it's going to help a lot of people moving forward, because I already know people use things like Conversation Boost in order to boost up the volume of people speaking to them because they are hard of hearing, but they don't think they need an actual hearing aid. So it's kind of falling in that in-between that does help people out that maybe they don't know they need that help from a hearing aid perspective. And now let's get into the cream of the crop, which is the iPhone 16s and the iPhone 16 Pros. So start off with the iPhone 16s, my first initial reaction to it was that I loved the new colorway that it had, and I thought it was just a nice clean package, but it's gonna be very familiar to what we saw last year with some new added bonuses to make it an iPhone 16, especially made for Apple Intelligence. So first and foremost, it is water and dust resistance like it always has been. It does 2000 nits of brightness on the high end. It does stay at that 6.1 and 6.7 inches in terms of screen size respectively for the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus, and included in this one is going to be the new A18 chip, which is built for it to be running Apple Intelligence. So unfortunately, like I mentioned in the past, if you did pick up an iPhone 15 or 15 Plus, you will not be able to use Apple Intelligence, but the new 16 and 16 Plus will. In some context to give you from a chipset standpoint, you do have a 3nm process, which is the 2nd gen, so they're kind of making sure that it's getting even more efficient and even faster. You have a 6-core CPU, giving you a chipset that's 30% faster from a CPU standpoint from the previous model. Then you also have a 5-core GPU, making it 40% faster than the previous model from a GPU perspective. And then they added a new button called the capture button. This capture button is very dedicated to, of course, the camera modules and the camera itself, and I actually think this is going to be a great implementation because it makes you feel like you're using an actual camera, and they've added a bunch of software features in there to make it a little bit more usable and user-friendly along the way. But some of the things to consider from a camera hardware perspective is that we saw that 48 megapixel main shooter on the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus, but they are giving us a 2x telephoto at 12 megapixels, which is always great to see. And then you also have an ultra wide with autofocus built into there. And then that ultra wide does allow for macro photography. So you basically get 4 lenses in 2, and that's how Apple's selling it to you because you're able to do macro shots with the wide angle. You have the ultra wide, then you have the regular wide, and then you have the 12 megapixel crop in with telephoto. And the last visual change aside from the colors that you might notice is that it does have a different camera orientation than the years past. We're now back into that vertical orientation for the camera module, and that's mostly to be able to record spatial video if you do want to watch it on your Vision Pro. So I think that's a nice welcome added bonus. It's just going to be a little bit annoying that you're going to have to use a different case because of that. And then lastly, Apple did improve the battery capacity, giving us even more battery, more playback time to be able to use things like Apple Intelligence long term. So these iPhones will still be at the same price of $799 for the iPhone 16, $899 for the 16 Plus. You can pre-order them on Friday, and they'll be available on September 20th. And now let's get into the 16 Pro and Pro Max, which is the ones that I'm going to be getting and mostly focusing on. And I'm most likely going to the 16 Pro Max model because I've always gone to the large ones, but this is going to be a 6.3 inch and a 6.9 inch screen respectively for each of these models, making it the biggest iPhone screens that we've ever seen, with 6.9 getting into that iPad mini territory in my opinion. And this will be equipped with the new A18 Pro chip, and we'll touch on that from a contextual standpoint in a minute, but then they also from a screen standpoint now have the thinnest bezels, which we spoke about in a Leaks and Rumors video. So we're gonna have extremely thin bezels, reducing the actual footprint. Even though we're increasing by 0.2 inches from the screen size, it won't feel that way as much because we do have such thin bezels. And then it's gonna come in 4 different colorways. We still have the dark black, the white, the natural titanium, and then finally we're getting a new desert titanium color, which from what it looks like has a nice kind of brownish copper hue to it, and I think a lot of people are going to like that one. Again, similar to the 16 models, this is going to have the best battery life because they did increase the battery capacity in these phones to be able to generate enough battery for not only the camera systems and things like that, but also for Apple Intelligence. This does come equipped with a 16-core neural engine, making it 17% faster from a memory standpoint compared to last year. You have a 6-core GPU, making it 15% faster as last year, and then a 6-core CPU for 15% faster than last year as well. So again, you're only getting incremental improvements, so 15% here, 15% there. I believe the actual iPhone 16 and 16 Plus have a bigger increase in performance because they weren't ready for Apple Intelligence, and this year they are. And also that A18 Pro chip does give you the ability to have faster USB 3 speeds, as well as advanced media features, and finally 2x better ray tracing if you are into the gaming world. And then finally, let's focus on the cameras for the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. What's nice about it this year is that there won't be any differentiation between the two camera systems. Last year, we only had a 3x telephoto on the Pro and then a 5x on the 16 Pro Max. This year, they both get that same 5x telephoto lens. But we do get a 48 megapixel fusion camera, which Apple is touting because it does give you that 12 megapixel crop in, but then we're also getting a 48 megapixel ultra wide compared to 12 megapixels of last year, which should give you some pristine macro shots and then much better ultra wide photos and video, because as we all know, the ultra wide video on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max gets a little bit more grainy compared to the regular main sensor. And then from the video standpoint, you do get a new cinematic slow-mo shot, which I think is awesome to see all in one shot. And then from a video standpoint, you get some new features like being able to record in 4K at 120 FPS and no need to go into like slow-mo mode anymore. You also have cinematic slow-mo, which I think is awesome to see, so giving you even more cinematic shots. And then you're also able to record in ProRes and in log at that 4K 120 FPS to an external SSD. And then lastly, we do get some new additions to MagSafe, basically giving a faster 25-watt charging speed. For Apple certified MagSafe chargers, it supports Qi 2, giving you 15 watts of fast charging with regular Qi 2 chargers with the magnetic attachment as well. So the more the merrier when it comes to MagSafe. And Apple did introduce their clear as well as their silicone cases, but they did not introduce any more fine woven, and I don't believe they will be. So that will pretty much do it for this video, everybody. As you saw, Apple gave us the entire gamut at their September event with the new iPhones headlining everything and some surprises along the way. So let me know with a comment down below. Are you picking up a new iPhone? Which iPhone are you going to be trading from if you are? And what other things will you be picking up that Apple did mention during the September event? But that'll do it, everybody. Definitely get subscribed because we will be covering every aspect, every product, as we start to get them in over the next coming weeks. So definitely be ready to check those out. But that'll do it, everybody. If you guys made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, click on one of these right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.